Hello friends, Nathan here, and I gotta come clean about something. I do not regularly practice scales or any type of technique drills or exercises. Or I guess to clarify, I don't practice them in the same way that most people do. Now, I'm a classically trained guitarist with a master's degree, so to say that I don't practice those things probably sounds kind of nuts, and I get that, but it all boils down to one main reason. I want to spend my practice time playing real music. I don't want to spend hours blasting through scales and exercises every day before I get to actually play the music that I love. But I understand that to play that music well, the technique that those scales and those exercises help develop has to be there. So my compromise is I take music that has scales in it, and I take music that hits on various techniques, and I turn those sections into exercises. So I'm developing my technique while still playing real music. Now, sometimes if I'm really struggling with a certain area of my technique, or a student of mine is, I will supplement these musical drills with more traditional technique exercises to help give that technique some extra attention. But I'm super selective about this because, again, I want for myself and for my students to be able to spend the majority of our time with the guitar playing music that we actually care about. So that's where this video comes in. There's one exercise in particular that so perfectly hits on this specific technique that is so fundamental to every piece of music that we play that I believe every guitarist should incorporate in their practice routine. Before we jump into that, I am very excited to announce that next week on March 2nd, I'll be opening the doors to the Beyond the Guitar Arrangers Academy for the very first time. The Arrangers Academy is my private guitar arranging program designed to teach you everything you need to create your own classical or fingerstyle guitar arrangements. And it gives you direct access to me as your teacher and to a community of like-minded guitarists to support and encourage you all along the way. Now, there's nothing like this on the internet right now for guitarists who want to learn how to arrange, so I'm incredibly excited to share it with you. You can visit academy.beyondtheguitar.com/enroll, or just follow the link down below in the description to sign up for the waiting list so you'll be first to know when the doors open next week. Now, back to this exercise. This is my desert island exercise. If I was stranded on a desert island with my guitar and I could only choose one exercise to practice, it would be this one, which I guess has a scenario that makes no sense at all, but you get my point. This is how it goes. So this is what we call a finger independence exercise. It trains our fingers to move in opposing directions, which sounds simple enough, but if you've ever done any of these types of exercises, you know that it's a lot harder than it looks. Now, why is it so important to train this? Two reasons. Number one, it happens everywhere. Guitar music requires finger independence all over the place, whether it's a chord with a big awkward stretch or a transition between two chords where your fingers have to quickly swap positions in opposite directions, or a situation where you have to move certain fingers while still holding down others. All of these scenarios require finger independence where your fingers are having to move away from each other in different directions. Beginner guitarists are always surprised by how difficult this is. They feel like they've all of a sudden just lost all their motor skills and that this is something they should be able to do. So that brings us to reason number two, why it's so important to train finger independence. It's not natural. Because of the connective tissue and tendons, especially between our middle and ring fingers, it can make it really difficult to move certain fingers while keeping others still, or to move them in opposite directions. When one finger moves, the others want to move with it. So because of this natural limitation, we need to give this area of our technique a little extra attention to help develop that control in the independent movement of our fingers. This specific exercise is from Pumping Nylon, a fantastic technique book that I used to use a ton back in my formative years of playing. but let me show you how to run through this exercise. For your starting point, place your first, second, third, and fourth fingers on frets 5 through 8 of the G string. And throughout the course of this exercise, you're going to be moving different pairs of fingers while keeping the other 2 fingers planted on their respective frets. Now that's why this exercise is so great, because it hits both of those finger independence trouble spots: moving fingers in opposite directions and moving fingers while keeping others still. Let's start with our second and third fingers. Since those are our main troublemakers, I'm gonna alternate them between the 2 strings surrounding the G string, so the D and B strings. Now my other fingers, the first and fourth, are gonna stay planted on their respective frets. Now the most important thing to watch out for here when alternating your second and third fingers is to make sure that they make contact with the strings at the same time. So don't cheat and move them one after the other. They should cross paths in mid-air and make contact with their respective strings at the exact same time. If you're doing it right, it should feel like you're stretching out a rubber band between the 2 fingers. There should be a bit of a pull there. That's how you know you're exercising that finger independence. I'm using the word pull here cautiously because obviously you don't want to injure yourself, but this is a finger workout, so you need to pay attention to the difference between a healthy burn between your fingers and a dangerous strain. The muscles and tendons in our hands are really fragile, so you've got to pay attention to how they're feeling and be careful not to overdo it. You really should only be doing this for just a few minutes every day, and throughout the course of the exercise, be really intentional about keeping your hand and fingers as relaxed and free of tension as possible. Now you can run through this exercise with any pair of fingers, but in the spirit of minimizing time spent on drills and getting back to the music, I focus on the pairs of fingers that naturally need the most work. So 2 and 3, 3 and 4, and then occasionally 2 and 4. For your first couple weeks with this exercise, alternating between the D and B strings should be more than enough to work out those fingers. But as that starts to get easier, you can up the difficulty by increasing the distance that your fingers have to move. So going between the A and B strings, you'll feel that extra stretch. Then once that gets easy, you can go low E to B, right? Then, if you're feeling extra cocky, you can go E to E. And you gotta be real careful with that because that one's a doozy. But that's it. Work this into your practice routines, just a few minutes every day, and gradually you'll see how it cleans up a lot of troublesome areas in your playing. There have been so many times when students have come to me with a spot in a piece that they're struggling with and they can't quite figure out why they're not nailing it. And so many times it can be traced back to a lack of finger independence. It's a sneaky thing and it causes more issues than you realize. If this was helpful, hit that like button to let me know and to help others see it. Make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on so you never miss future videos. And remember, if you want to learn how to make your own classical or fingerstyle guitar arrangements, you don't want to miss out on the Arrangers Academy that I'm launching next week. So go to academy.beyondtheguitar.com/enroll or follow the link in the description to sign up for the waiting list. But as always, much love, and I'll see you in the next one.